in 2-3 years. I don't know anything else to do. I'm a Florida person. We got one daughter, one grandchild, son-in-law. Wasn't for sure. Didn't know I was supposed to get my light this morning. So. Served on New Orleans.
Denise Crowder. I live Shawnee Township, just off 41, halfway between Attica and Petersburg. 3 children, one at Purdue, 2 in Attica. Husband farms, have a hog farm. I'm not a lifelong resident. I've lived here for 24-25 years now. Grew up in Michigan. Worked at Farm Credit, Fountain Trust, and Old National for 20+ years. Been heavily involved in 4-H program, and on the sheriff board for several years, extension board in the past, and looking forward to learning, and trying to give some insight into things going on.
I'm Kelly Carlson. I live in probably the furthest point north in Fountain County. I sit right on the Tippecanoe County line, so we farm. City girl married a farmer, so that was interesting our first few years because I couldn't figure out why we couldn't go out to eat on Monday night during harvest. So I had to learn real quick that how to be by myself, do things by myself. And it all worked out. I have 3 kids. I have a daughter and 2 sons. Our daughter is married, no grandchildren yet. She lives in Indianapolis. And our 2 sons both came back to the farm after graduating from the university. They both farm. So yeah, that's my life. So y'all know my phone number, so if you need anything, give me a call. So.
Dale White, my family moved to Covington when I was 1 month old. It was a long walk for me from Montgomery County. And spent the next 18 years here at Covington High School graduate with my friend Colleen over here. And spent the next 20 years over in Bloomington Normal, Illinois. My whole 35-year career has been in the not-for-profit sector in leadership positions in marketing, PR, owner development, asset development, endowment management. Moved back home. You can move back home nearly 20 years ago, accepted a position as the CEO of the Western Indiana Community Foundation, and serves Fountain County and Vermilion County. I think my claim to fame is I have 7 great grandkids. Not great grandkids, but great in terms of capital. 7 grandkids. So looking forward to serving. Served on the Covington City Council for 8 years, numerous other organizations.
My name is Tom Boo. I have served on this council for quite a while. I'm from Petersburg, Indiana. I'm a retired school teacher of 41 years. It has not all been in Fountain County. I've been county, the state of Indiana. I got there because I was a coach and a teacher. And as Dale might know, I moved around. You always kind of think the grass is greener on the other side, but it's not quite the fact. And you can come back home. I have enjoyed being in Fountain County back again. I have enjoyed being on the county council. Very interesting how government works. It's more complicated than you can imagine. But you do stick your neck out when you're running for public office. And there are situations that come out of that you are for, but you got to listen to your constituents and what you hear out there. So I have 3 children. They're all grown. I got 3 grandchildren, which are all girls. I try to stay in contact with the girl all the time. I got a 6-year-old granddaughter, and I had to text this morning, don't call me because I have a meeting. And she loves to talk, and we're very, very fond of each other. So anyway, I've been chairs of various situations in the county and outside the county. I appreciate the honor of serving with all these council members today. I also honor the people that have served with in the past. Some of them have passed away, and they were good council members, they were good thinkers, and they had the county in their hearts. I appreciate what you people do as employees of the county. I think that sometimes that we forget how the county runs, and just a general person out here, we just forget how our county operates. Excuse me. But anyway, I appreciate you, and I hope to have a great year. I hope you get
My name is Dudley Curry. I've lived in Covington all my life. I graduated from Covington High School, Indiana State University. I've been on the council. This is my 12th year on the council, and I have served as county clerk. And then the last 29 years, I've been controller at TMF Center in Williamsport. Wife is Lisa, and she's the director of the Warren County Learning Center. I enjoy being on the council. Been on both sides now. When clerk, I know always asking for money, and now I have, you all are asking me for money, and it's a little different. I'm not just picking on the because I was forward to working with all the new members here and the existing members. And we always try to do what's best for the county and the taxpayers of the counties. Okay, so first order of business, we have the preliminary economic revitalization area resolution. As you know, this resolution was passed in November, I believe, and then in November, we had the second reading and it failed. We've been asked to look at it again. Before we bring that up, is there anyone that wants to make any comments about the resolution?
I do.
Okay,
I don't know if people understand. I'm sorry, I'm Melissa Griffin. I just became the new elected assessor. And I don't know if people understand that this is gonna happen regardless of what you all decide on the resolution. It's the land will not be involved in the abatement at all. It will be $13,000 opposed to the $1,900 that Ag Ground brings in. So you're going to make money there. I get it. But that money will only be, without the abatement, will only go into the townships that it collects in. It will not be across the board. You will not be able to use it for other things. So I'm new at this. I'm learning. It's gonna cost work for me. But it's just something that really should be considered. I understand we need farm ground. I get it. I also understand that people are gonna do what they wanna do with their ground. I mean, it's a decision that has to be made, by the owner of the land also. So I don't know if that helps. I don't know if it hinders. I'm not trying to sway anybody. I just want people to know that, I mean, the money can be used, in our county for lots of different things, and you might consider it, really consider looking at that point of view. So I don't know.
okay, thanks. Does any council member have any questions? I know with 3 new ones, if you have any questions about the resolution that we have, if it's to go through, it has to be passed to make it a economic revitalization area resolution before we can go any further. If this passes, then next month there will be a hearing where the public can speak for or against it before we vote for a second time. It's time.
I think, I want to say something real fast.
Okay.
So I think just to be clear, on everybody's behalf, you know, these guys were abiding by the zoning ordinance that was put in place, you know, several years ago. Before my time and many of your guys' time too. And the vote today is just for the monetary asset of this economic development. I know Dudley fully understands the uses that this money can be put towards for the county to be substantial. Make no mistake, the solar panels that are in place are coming. It's just what we do with the money off of them at the moment is at risk. So I would greatly have you guys think about that aspect. If the vote today can't change who, what, when, or where, they're coming in those areas. It's just that we capitalize off of them. I understand there's personal concept back there of what our kids are gonna do, but you know, even as a commissioner, we can't. As long as they abide by those zoning ordinance that is set by the planning commission, they're within rules and regulations. I'm gonna keep that.
Andrew,
Yes.
I got the updated one from Colleen last night. And on the third paragraph, I'm a little confused.
Okay,
You want me to read it?
yeah, go ahead. She sent us, I'll hold it.
It says now, therefore, it is found determined and resolved by the council that area is within the county and has become undesirable or impossible of normal development and occupancy because of a lack of development, cessation, or upgrade. Deterioration of the improvements or character of the occupancy, age, obsolescent standard buildings and equipment. Or other factors that have impaired the values and prevented normal development of the property and the use of the property. Well, that's not the case. What I see.
So
I
there's
mean,
one,
it's saying it's crap ground.
so there's one thing that I won't claim in life, and it's an attorney. I won't claim I'm an attorney. Roger, would you be able to hint on that a little bit? On that paragraph and kind of where that stands, and I'm sure as a revitalization area, that's the standard protocol to have pending ordinance. To make that come to life, I'm just speculating. but-
Yeah, I'm Roger Azar, the county engineer. I'm also not an attorney.
Yes.
This is some legalese words. The bottom line is, you know, you could request that those words be changed if you don't like them. The bottom line is that, you know, these folks came through me, when Bonnie was the standing zoning person, and I helped her with it. We went through all the properties, they meet the zoning requirements. You know, the farmers are willing to allow that to happen. There is economic benefit to the county from doing that. I don't think anybody argues with that. They checked all the boxes. These folks are sitting here. We went back and forth. I went through everybody. I sat with the commissioners, I sat with the fire chief, I sat with the fire department. I sat with the sheriff. We made sure that everything was checked. I have a matrix that we go through whenever some of these projects come in. And we made sure that everybody, all the utilities and everybody in content is okay with it from our perspective on this side, the technical perspective. Again, to answer your question, I'm not trying to bypass it. There's a lot of legalese in there. If you're uncomfortable with those words, I think we could recommend that they be changed or something like that, but they do not impact the essence of what we're trying to do, putting those solar panels where they're going.
Sorry, if I can just jump in, I'm Colin Stone, developer of Ranger Power project under consideration today or within the ERA boundary. I also have shared your concern with that language. It's certainly not how we view the land, and certainly most importantly, not how the landowners that we have agreements with view what this project will do with their land. This language, and I'm going to turn over to our attorney because Roger's exactly right. This is legalese. Stuck in, but I'll turn over to kind of speak more specifically to this. This is kind of statewide, a state, language that comes from the state that's implemented by, counties that entered these agreements for this process. But to Roger's point, This does not allow us to do anything outside of, what has been approved by the county, which is to be very careful stewards of that land. And most importantly, when a project comes up, which there's kind of restoration, language and bonding, that then being some other designation back in return to, the prime ag land that it is, that we in the land owners are. And I'll turn over to, Nikki to speak.
Good morning, I'm Nikki Schultz, so I am counsel for Ranger Power. And I have represented several landowners in solar developments, and I've represented several developers. So I'm familiar with the process, and your question is a good one, because when you read the statute, one way that it can be interpreted is, as you sort of hit on, and that is that this land you can't do anything else with it. The practical interpretation of how it is used and interpreted across 92 counties in Indiana is whether or not this land is, the words are, is it undesirable for or impossible? So either undesirable or impossible for normal development and occupancy. The way that this statute has been interpreted in other counties across Indiana is whether or not we want to create this sort of boundaried off area where we want to, as a county council, indicate that normal development in the sense of development different than what's presently happening on the land is impracticable. Not likely to happen, not likely to bring more jobs. That's the way the other counties have looked at this. And the other counties that do this, this is what the legislature has put in front of us in terms of, this is the first step that you all have to satisfy. And that's, I liken it to, you create a boundary. And within this boundary, if you say that it's an economic revitalization area, that's the vote today. Next time you'll have the public hearing on that boundary area. And then if that happens, then we can go to the final stage of your vote. And that is on the economic development agreement and the payment that the project would bring to the county. That, as folks have indicated today, that payment then can get used in a number of different ways. So I just want you to be clear that you are not the first to have to use the statute in this way. It doesn't mean that this is blighted property that just is, a wasteland. It just means that it's not suitable for further development in sort of the widest spectrum that it can be used. And this is the vehicle that we have to use as the state and that other counties have used to create an economic revitalization area, which is the foundational requirement for us to eventually get to an economic development agreement. So happy to answer questions, but hopefully that's helpful. You're right. But it is what every county uses.
And just be mindful, it is specific to that designated area. It's not stretched across the entire county. I mean, it's just specific to the area mentioned in that addendum there.
I mean, I guess this is the council, I mean, is that how you look at that grant?
That's what my question
I
was.
mean, and there's the way that paragraph states, but it's working. It's saying council basically looked at that.
Yeah. And that was my question, Mr. Down there. Has that been done? Because I thought that it was supposed, what I read, to come to the auditor, look at the ground, check that out, and when I voted, I said, well, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that, Jeff. And so I'm glad you brought that up. And to your point, legally, you can still plant that ground. It's just been designated as an economic development area in Fountain County involving 2 townships. More in Troy than there is in Van Buren. And somebody asked me the other day, because he had heard something about it, I said, well, where's that line start? What gravel road does that start on? And I wasn't quite sure. I know the name, but I wasn't quite sure just exactly where down that line. So had the land been checked?
Is
Is it okay?
Oh, yeah, so, well, just for your clarification, in the email that Colleen sent, that exhibit A shows exactly that boundary that, is described.
And I'm sorry to piggyback on that. So as part of the public process that we described, you know, this was the kind of site plan that was agreed. So those show kind of the parcels, you know, the landowners that submitted parcels that are interested in panels. The other point I would say is that, if you'll notice from the map compared to that, it covers kind of, you know, a boundary outline. And so within that, there are farmers who are not interested in participating and will continue to farm, you know, to your point, through the, you know, should the project get built, through the life of the project. And no, this ERA will have no impact, even though they are within that boundary area. Only the land that actually has the project on it will be impacted at all. It will not be again impacted in any way to that will affect its kind of ag designation. You know, a lot of the project details kind of are really important to that. You know, we are obligated to pay a huge amount of attention to drainage. We'll have to submit a more complete drainage plan closer to construction. You know, we will plant, you know, pollinators and local grasses underneath the panels. And then the whole design is that it is temporary. It's, you know, we think about it as, you know, a 20 to 30 year, you know, taking the energy from the sun and, but as corn does, instead of producing ethanol, we produce electricity. And so the fact that we return to ag designation, we feel is right, and that land is, as you say, you know, prime, and that's our, we'll keep it that way. One thing I would say is just on something that you raised, sorry, I'm changing topics slightly, and I apologize, but just back to, you know, we received the permit, you know, through the process Roger outlined, voted on at the commissioner hearing, and we feel we can go forward with the project. What, you know, the way we're thinking about this proceeding here is that, you know, to pay the tax without the abatement, you know, to go forward without the abatement, does, you know, under the structure of Indiana tax law statute would lower taxes around, you know, for their property, you know, owners in the area, as it would with the abatement, you know, just to a large degree. That what this abatement allows for, you know, what this vote allows for, is for this project, which is $175 million investment, to produce extra revenue for the county above that cap without raising taxes. And to our mind, that's where the benefit for people that are not landowners, that are outside of this come from. That's kind of the council's ability to provide that benefit to the larger county, again, without, you know, raising taxes. In fact, while still having people's taxes go down within the area. So that's why we're here. That's why we're back. That's why we feel it's important. You know, we want these projects to bring benefit to the larger county, and we think, you know, this is Indiana's mechanism for doing so. And that's why we're back again after.
I read all of that.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
I read all of that. Just that language.
I think it does me also. I don't think there's any truth in this language. And I think this is for government. I think we want to complain about what happens in Washington DC when we adopt this. Just as bad. This is already a heavily subsidized industry. I'm not going to subsidize it anymore, and we have to look at this in the context of what might happen in North County with GeneX.
Hang on, I'm not finished. Please hang on. With GeneX, that is 2 or 3 or 4 times larger project than what Mr. Snow's project will be. Are they going to want 10, 15, $20 million in tax abatement subsidies? I can't support it. Go ahead.
How many acres are we talking about?
about 1,800 acres.
Well, the outline is a lot more than 1,800 acres. Economic development is.
That's exactly right. So the boundary of the economic development area is kind of larger than the area of the project. It's kind of drawn around that whole thing. If you see, there's a lot of
1,000 acres, isn't it?
probably because you know there's parcels within there that are within the boundary that are not part of the project and will not be affected by it.
And how will this affect the abatement then if you decide to increase it to the other outlining area? Will we get another abatement?
To increase it to any of those parcels or beyond the boundary would require going through another permit process and then another bid. Yeah,
I have a question. There's only so much that you can put on the line, is that correct?
yes, absolutely.
So that'll affect whether or not you can go outside that boundary.
It affects everything. Yeah, absolutely. We're studying a 200 megawatt project at the point of injection, which is the Duke 230 kV Petersburg substation. And we are preventing from never injecting, a kilowatt more than that. That's
So
right.
are you going directly on the line or are you going through? How are you doing yours
Oh no, we're putting in through the substation there.
at Petersburg?
At the Petersburg substation. Yeah, that you go to the Petersburg substation.
Locally, there's a chance we won't use that energy. Is that correct?
Power, as I understand it, I'm not an engineer, the power that's injected at that substation and goes where those lines go. And so if anybody's, those are, 230 kV, basically the highway version of electrical conduits, where most people are kind of, though that energy goes to, other substations and gets stepped down in distribution lines and it gets distributed to customers, like residences or businesses. Where the electrons go, we don't have any control over. The transmission owner basically determines that. So some of those electrons go locally, which I would think they would, that people will get the benefit of that. Where there's more benefit locally is that we're injecting in a place that does not have other injection, other generators. What that does is it kind of balances the system. The lines last longer if there's electrons flowing in different directions. And by injecting in an area that has no other injection, it makes the transmission lines last longer. They call it like energy stability or energy security is kind of a larger discussion here for why, the transmission owner might see benefit here.
So in the longevity of your project, I do know that Duke Energy Renewables or Duke Renewables are abandoning their projects, they are selling off their projects and they're going with nuclear. So I don't know if you've heard of that.
They released an IRP last year. There were still some renewables there. I think.
I do know in Attica, right next to Duke, just west of the energy, the substation there, that has been leased in Duke Renewables.
Interesting.
Which they also have on the east side of that substation as well. And how I found out that they're abandoning that, I do know someone that is in the electricity department and has been for 30 years. And he is the one that informed me that Duke is abandoning their solar projects and going with nuclear.
I would just say, once again, I'm back, I can't speak for any other projects. I think, was bringing up, Jim, or Mr. Commissioner. Sorry.
But I was informed I'm the most senior on this council.
You are. Thank you, Jim. Well, I won't impress you as, plus your council member. But I would say, we're here, the structure of these, of these abatements is project specific, there's a boundary. I know you brought up other projects, but we're here, just focused on our project.
I know.
And so I really tell you way more about Duke Renewables plans, I can't speak to any projects on Attica. I would say one thing I have noticed, sorry, you had something to add about the environment. Oh, no, okay.
Just generally speaking, in this state and in the nation, we are energy deficient. We need more energy. So Duke has filed what's called an integrated resource plan that tells you what is their plan for the next, it's short, medium, and long term. There's lots and lots of solar still in there, but there's nuclear in there. There's wind in there. It's called an all of the above approach because we can't put all our eggs in one basket. So I just don't want folks to walk away thinking, oh, solar is a thing of the past. No, it's not.
Okay, so getting back to the language, my only concern is if we approve this and a constituent sees it, they're gonna say, why did you do that? Based off the language.
Make it contingent,
Yeah,
make it contingent.
is it something?
If an attorney can strike it, strike it.
So like, I take it as it was a cut and paste kind of deal.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I was not part of it.
Yeah.
You guys did, but we see a lot of.
That's the way it-
And there's a lot
Yeah,
of.
it's a blanket.
I don't want to be a dead horse, Dudley, you may have something to come up on. At all. Especially from the fiscal body, you guys, would benefit way more than we would. But, you know, as commissioners, we see the county and projects and funding, deficits that we have all over the place. And this is a prime opportunity that we may never get again. To have some funding that we've never had. On behalf of the fiscal body, you guys should recognize that also. That, yeah, go ahead.
So are you saying that they can drop that language from this and
I would,
be able to pass?
I would recommend that they make their vote contingent. If they would like to see that strike, they can make it contingent that they would like to see that fall away. I'm not an attorney. If an attorney can look at that and redo it and say we can strike some of that language, rock on. I make contingent stuff all day long. I may not be good at it, but I do. And they can do the same just as well we can.
The only thing I would caution against, that language may be necessary
Of course.
to designate this as an economic or revitalization area. If you take that language out of there, that area may not be prone for economic revitalization, so I would let the attorneys look at that.
Yeah.
You know, this commission can say, hey, we would like to see this scratch, is that possible? And then it's possible.
I have a question
Not be possible.
with the attorney here, you could answer. I know the legislature passed some legislation about solar panels, and I noticed that IC numbers are listed on here. So is that part of the legislation which states that that paragraph has to be in?
It's
To-
not in there. She wants to look at.
I don't have a resolution.
Okay. Here's state resolution right here, and it says.
Right, so. So I've got that, so your resolution cites 6-1.1 -12.1 right?
Yes.
And that is the part of the code, I'll just read it to you. For purposes of this chapter, economic revitalization area means an area which is within the corporate limits of a city, town, or county, which has become undesirable for or impossible of normal development and occupancy because of a lack of development, cessation of growth, deterioration of improvement or character of occupancy, age, obsolescence, substandard buildings, or other factors which have impaired values or prevent a normal development of property or use of property. It also includes any area where a facility or a group of facilities that are technologically, economically, or energy obsolete are located and where the obsolescence may lead to a decline in employment and tax revenues and a residentially distressed area except as otherwise provided herein. So that's a long, that's the official definition. So within that, if you don't like those certain of those words, you could say that you find that there are factors that have impaired values or prevent normal development of the property or use of the property. So you don't have to stay exactly within those offending words. There is more sort of leeway, I guess I would say, in the words of the statute that I just read.
Well, let's break it down. What they're talking about there is if Covington was expanding out, if Petersburg was expanding out, if there was development in the area.
Right.
That is exactly what that statute's saying. There's no development and there's not going to be any development. It's always going to be farmland.
Yeah,
That is exactly what that's saying. It's not saying ground's worthless, it's not saying ground's bad. is strictly talking about expansion.
The idea of development is the idea that it's gonna bring more employment, it's gonna bring more jobs, it's gonna bring more revenue in its current state. And the answer to that as it currently sits, no. That's the spirit of this.
So it's not going to impact agricultural from all agricultural vendors to rely on the farmer, whether it's seed,
That's
feed,
That's
or
not the
whatever.
question that this is being asked. Yeah, the question is this an economic revitalization area? It doesn't prevent it being used as farmland in the future.
No, I've had a couple of ag vendors ask me why am I not taxing? They've been in business for 40, 50 years. Why them and not me? You know, they're not very happy with it.
Well, I've got a question on the, like, if, you know, I understand the extra money it could bring in and things. I guess my question is, do we have any kind of long-term plan or desire for that kind of money? I mean, if we're gonna go down the road, giving tax abatements for what I've seen, you know, that this doesn't create a lot of local jobs or anything. From what I've been told, a lot of outside people come in and put these in. You know, they're on the roads, they leave people to service them or from their company on the side. So then we have this money, and then is it just like whoever comes and asks for it gets to use it? You know, the first come, first served, instead of maybe going towards the people that it affected negatively. You know, I'm worried about, we're not to take all this money and put it back into roads that are poor, you know, for these people, the cost to fix a road is not cheap. Is that where the money is gonna go? It's gonna be a first serve. I guess I'm, you know, more long-term. What kind of plans do we have to use that money? If we're gonna go down this road of very questionable approvals.
There aren't any plans for it because there isn't any money right now,
Right.
but if the money becomes available, then the council and the commissioners need to sit down and come up with a plan of how the money is going to be spent. It does take both council and commissioners have to approve.
And answer your questions about the roads, they have to provide a road plan use. And we will videotape the roads before they start construction. And we'll videotape the roads after construction, and as an engineer and the highway department head, we'll go inspect those roads. And that plan dictates that any impact they do on the road, they have to fix or pay for the money to fix those roads. But your question is still a very valid one, what are the plans for the money, but the roads will be taken care of.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's be clear about this. So if the project goes through, we as the developer pay for any impact on the roads. So as he said, you essentially take a snapshot of what do the roads look like before, then you do the work, and then when it's, you know, your engineer oversees what happens, and then we restore the roads or pay them to restore them if they don't, you know, however they want that done. The notion is not that we come in, tear up the community and leave the community. Yes, you have some money, but now you have to use the money to fix it. No. The idea is we come in, we pay for everything that we have done and will do to the land. But then on top of that, we leave this economic development payment with the county as a gesture of goodwill to help you all use it however you see fit.
One of the question, I think the farming, even though you've got umpteen acres. I understand a farmer, if there's room, can farm outside that boundary, even stay within the boundary, but still farm that area. You're going to kind of help it out by putting in pollinators and make sure the grass grows, but you're not gonna let it grow beyond the panels. That wouldn't help you any. But I would just say that farmers still have that ability to do that.
Yeah, our lease is contemplating farmers' ability, you know, we're required by the county to set back from roads and residences. If the farmer chooses to farm and that's, they're sure what they're perfectly well able, they have those rights. And then also, you know, anything that's not within the project, that's theirs to farm, do what they like with. And the goal is, as you put, to help farmers around with the pollinators, we should, the goal is to meet or improve drainage in surrounding areas. We're responsible for all, drainage, erosion control. And we feel that, the preliminary studies have shown and, existing projects have shown that the biggest thing is that by planting it year round and long root stem ground cover, that this actually, has a similar effect to like a CRP or something of the kind, where it first keeps the land, prevents erosion and can improve drainage.
Do you, when you go in and take care of that land before you put your panels in, do you
Yes.
completely excavate that land and make it so water runs wherever and?
We have to put in EMPs for construction control, drainage and runoff during construction. There's a lot of provisions in our leases and in our construction practices to preserve that land even during construction. And typically it's planted and seeded before construction to accomplish exactly what you're saying, preserve that land while the construction is happening. One thing I will say, we're lucky, solar is lucky as opposed to some other forms of construction in that it doesn't require, the kinds of trucks that you see with like a wind blade, for instance. Those usually, typically we're talking, trucks that are similar to what farmers use. It's construction, and so there will be an effect on the roads, and that's why we post a bond and be responsible for all the roads in that area. And then just another point, we do try to hire locally, for construction, which is several hundred jobs on a project of this size. When the project's up and running, it's about 4 to 6 full-time jobs. And again, we try to hire locally first. But one of the benefits as we see these projects in the community is that they are not putting a big strain on county schools and roads and health systems and these kinds of things, while these agreements allow for that revenue to provide some benefit to the county.
Hey, Don, one more thing I want to tell you about the erosion control. The state of Indiana requires any construction project over 1 acre to have erosion control measures in place. They will have to provide us with an erosion control plan that protects every nexus of the property. So any creek, any tile, anything that they can discharge water into. They have to provide us with a plan that shows how they protect that. That is not regulated by county, it's not regulated, it's regulated by the state of Indiana. Anytime you disturb over 1 acre, you have to have a plan for that. So they will have to submit that plan, and we will have to approve it. Once we approve it, we'll give them a letter of approval. They have to post it in the newspaper twice, local newspapers. They'll get a certification in the newspaper that they posted it, then they submit it to the state for a permit, and after that permit is submitted, then they can start construction. So as far as erosion control measures, I feel confident that we will not give them that letter until I feel that everything has been protected, the nexus for water has been protected, there's no entry to groundwater, all that stuff that we look at. Okay,
Thank you. Colin, I had one other question on the contract. I know I'm ahead of myself. Maybe I didn't get to ask this last time. But I see here, they talk in section 3 on this contract. It was interesting to the fact that it says estimate of employees and salaries as a result of the proposed project. And the salaries are proposed from $30,000 to $80,000. And it said the number of additionals 1 to 4. So does that mean 1 to 4 employees? What is that? Is that the county or is that your employees or?
Our employees, one to 4 full-time employees, is how many employees on the SB1 form. Is that the SB1 form, the form from the second meeting list?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Sorry, that may be different from the resolution.
Yeah, oh, it is.
Yeah, sorry.
This was last night on the abatement. And that's what I got. It says utilities distributed on property. And I go down here and I see this section 3, where it talks about the amount of money that those people would receive somewhere in that area.
Yes.
And then there's a note, there's an Indiana code that's pursuant to the fact, I think that's what the attorney just read. The Indiana code was the 12 1.-5. Is that what you read?
I read 12.1.
12.1. Oh, this covers Indiana Code 6-1.1 and 12.1-5-1. And so which indicated the amount of cost that you would be involved in, I guess. Anyway, thank you, Colin, didn't jump ahead of you there.
Any other questions?
Yes, I don't think you can separate out the two projects. The project in Northern Mountain County is going to change the landscape of Northern Mountain County. Correct. And I don't know if there's been any discussion in my council district. How far along has gotten with GNX and or the county? Has the county been assisting GNX?
Not yet.
Have you thought they would speak with GNX about the
I think
project?
there were initial thoughts, they just showed us a map where they want to go. Yeah.
I don't think you can separate on two projects because they're going to ask for this is the same thing. That's going to be a lot more money. I am not willing to subsidize this industry any more than what has already been subsidized.
What are you selling? What are you giving away? Tell me that.
Right now,
Are you talking about? Mr. Snow, Kevin Martin asked you, how many subsidies are you getting last meeting? He said no. Mr. Snow could easily turned around and said, how many are you getting? He didn't. This is real simple. They are coming. I said this last time. Seem to fall on deaf ears. They are coming regardless. It's just a matter whether Cotton County positions herself in the best form possible and gets some money. It's not local tax dollars they're paying us, it is their money. So they either give it to the state of Indiana, or they give it to Fountain County. The state of Indiana has heavily supported this. I just saw a commercial this morning, Economic Development Indiana, and water there. Wind and solar panels, along with many other things, happen in the state of Indiana, one of the best economies in the United States. So, your decision today is either to let all the taxes go to Indianapolis, or you, for your constituents, for the people. And another thing, who are you to basically tell your neighbors what they can do with their land? You decided not to do it. They decided to do it. That's what you're doing, in a sense. Or you're trying to do, but it's not going, they're going to come anyhow. They're coming anyhow. You're taking a stance that, well, this, and this. Well, bottom line, it comes down to what I want to do with my property. The only thing you guys have to decide is whether you're going to accept and that was another thing. Never before had they ever had a county that negotiated a deal in good faith and then backed out. It's exactly what we did.
Well, I think the reason why it was done is because this is new. This is the precursor to what's coming. And we have to make sure that what we're doing is correct. Everything has been done to the satisfaction of this council and the company. And we need to make sure that all of our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed, because this is just the beginning. And we have to understand exactly what we're signing our name to.
And that was very well put out.
Because I can tell you,
All
they're asking for something, that company's gonna ask for at least the same thing, if not more. And once those abatement dollars are gone, the only benefit is the little measly amount that we're gonna have to pay in less tax. Yes,
And the people who.
yeah, are they putting that back in the county? Are they gonna purchase more farm ground? Where are they gonna purchase it at?
Oh, no, that's not what we're here to decide.
I know that's not what we're here to decide, but that's something we have to think about is what kind of landscape do we want for this county? I would like the dollars, yes, but I want to make sure we're doing it the right way.
Step back. They're coming regardless.
I know that.
So really, the only decision is whether you're gonna give them an abatement or not. That's it. By the state of Indiana and by Fountain County, they are legal in everything they've done. They are coming. Period. We're not debating anything but that.
Well, why
They're
we
gonna
have,
be here.
I understand that. Why we have questions is because we want to make sure that we understand it.
I didn't say anything about questions. I was just trying to focus on what.
That I know what we're here for. I know what we're here. Because this is the step to the abatement.
It's not falling on deaf ears. It's been thought ever since the last meeting, that we hear the right things, we're doing the right things. And we see a lot of land that's covered with panels, and we don't know how that looks in Fountain County, so that's, wow, you know, it's that
I
kind of
get
stuff.
that. That at this point. is
I understand.
relevant.
I understand.
They're coming.
I understand.
I did want to jump in, sorry, Jim, you raised, you know, with this project and until you raised at the last meeting, sorry, bringing up, this is from the last council, but I think it's relevant what you said. You know, Jim, you, as you just stated, you're thinking about this in terms of not just our project, but the larger, you know, that's those are questions we're having, but, you know, having publicly. However, as you brought up the time before, those questions do, you know, have their place to be answered, right? You know, the planning commission and the commissioners and you know, and that was decided with the ordinance a few years ago. You know, to use kind of this mechanism as kind of that, I would argue, you know, it's sort of, you know, as you had kind of, you know, pointed out last time, it's not using kind of the government bodies for their, you know, what their mandate is. And so, you know, I would just kind of ask that, you know, our project do be considered kind of in its own right and done a, you know, been out here since 2019 and invested a lot of money in it and spent a lot of time with the neighbors to the project. And with our landowners who have, you know, spent years negotiating a contract to make sure that this is gonna be right for them. And who made very careful decisions and decided to go forward. And so that's why we're back here is that we really believe our project does make sense for that area. And what we would hate is for the project to go forward and not have the full benefit to the county that we believe it can offer. That's a big part of why we do these projects. And so that's why we're back, and that's why I'd say, you know, I would like, we would appreciate being considered kind of for our own sake for this project.
And Andrew, do you feel like the one up north, you know, you say it's coming, which I agree with you. What about that one?
Honestly, these guys have been in way more conversations than I have been.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not coming yet.
Oh, yeah. There's been no official
Okay.
approach, no, but yeah, I mean, I feel we probably have 5 in the county right now that have at least contacted us and pretty serious. But the whole, which again, they're in their legal right to do so. The whole, out of all 5 of those, is well under 14,000 acres of all of them. I've heard rumors up north that there's gonna be 15,000 acres. That's not the case.
And I think each project would be specific to each entity of its own revitalization area, you know, just because you vote for one doesn't necessarily have to vote each one the same. I as a commissioner don't have a dog in any of the fight. I don't own land, I don't get any money from it, and I'm just here to express to the fiscal body, you know, the benefits of that.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I get the dollars that we can get and you know, basically take the money and have that for services we need in long-term planning, but, I don't know that I have to think of that awful hard on it. Personally, on doing it for some.
And the abatement is just the 10 years. After the 10 years, you know, that tax revenue is back. It's not like a forever abatement. It's a 10-year abatement.
And back to the point you were making, the assessed value of land is not abated here. And so there is still some reduction in taxes here, even when.
Is this the biggest solar in the state?
No.
I mean, I'm talking about just an area
No.
in a county. What's the big, what county has the biggest?
There's a lot of press, you can Google, there's a lot of articles about Mammoth Solar, that started construction up north. Starting in Alaska counties, that's about, 6 times the size.
I think I would just like to jump in and kind of echo what Denise was talking about. Speak now or hold my peace. I don't know if I should speak it now or the next meeting, or the next meeting. But I think one thing that would give me greater assurance, it's not about this project, is that there's been forethought, long range about when the county receives, I'm gonna call it sudden wealth. It's like a lottery. It's a sports contract. And most of those people go bankrupt after they receive large sums of money because they don't have a plan. And there's a lot of competition for the money after you receive it. So my challenge to commissioners to help us, because I'm seeing what happens if the council isn't helped in the process. This is the end result of the council. I don't know what each individual assurances are that they need, but it's obvious to me that they're not being met. So, and I've seen that in the last year and a half. So my challenge with commissioners is in the work that you do, I would challenge you to create a comprehensive plan that would help prioritize everything about the county, not just what each individual department does, but there's housing needs, there's childcare needs, there's park and recreation needs, there's broadband needs, it goes on and on and on. So what we hear each month is not the whole of the county, but we're asked to make decisions like it is. And that's misleading the council if we're only making decisions that department heads bring to us. So I would say, I would encourage you to take a parallel path. Is that on the backside, you work with our county, hundreds of constituents on what the needs are. And at the same time, as we can evaluate those based upon what you learn are the priorities, and it makes it, I think, easier for me to check off a box. Like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. But if we're gonna one-off every decision that we make that are 5 million, 7 million, 10 million, 50, this is the end result of it. And I don't think that benefits anybody. I think it's a waste of everybody's time. It's a waste of county resources. We got experts in the field who can answer every question that we have. And we're not being fair to them because we're not ahead of things. So ARPA was sudden wealth, you know, and there was no plan. That money's going to be gone. You've already determined where most of it's going to go. And I'm not so sure it's all been given forethought. I think it was those who came. I was one of those who came to a meeting. So that's my challenge. It's not this decision, it's how you go about making decisions. And so I just think this is where it's going to end up every time for my 4 years on the council. If the council doesn't have some assurances that there's been more forethought, and maybe there has been, but I don't think anybody has seen that. So that's my challenge. It's not condemnation. I'm not correcting anybody.
And I think,
So-
I think my feeling in what I said to you, Tim, and I apologize for that. You know me, I'm not really that type of person. So the frustration comes out and I get passionate So, I just want to make my apologies to everybody in the room. I don't want you to feel like the taxes that you pay are measly, because they are not. We understand that. I understand that. I just want you guys to understand that.
And I just want to piggyback off what Dale said, because commissioners have approached the council in the past, getting a comprehensive plan, because there is a need for it. I know there were some that didn't think that there was, but we're always going to be behind the 8 ball if we don't have those things in place. We have reached out to a couple of companies that are interested in getting that plan together for the county, but I need the council's support on this as well. So yes, I do think we need a plan. What are we going to do with those funds? Because I certainly don't want it there and it's like, oh, well, we'll just pull it from there, because before you know it, your money's all gone. So if we can all work together on getting a comprehensive plan together that we're all satisfied with, it would be greatly appreciated. Whether there be a master plan involved too, because I think we've seen things have fallen apart and we put a Band-Aid on everything. So those are some goals, working with the department heads for their needs, I think is huge too. And that's all I'm gonna say.
I think that's where our passion comes from,
Yes.
because we see that on a daily basis. I mean, the repair that needs to be done, and, the money that isn't there. The 10-year abatement, it sounds like a lot, but in 10 years, everything that you just pushed back is now back in your hand. Those revenue dollars are there. It's not like they're forever gone.
And we have done abatements in the past with the Fisher Petersburg. I've been involved with it. Colleen's been involved with it as auditor. So I understand, what impact that can or cannot be, for the county.
So Judge, Renee's got outpatient surgery at 145. I'd like to participate in both.
Okay.
And Lafayette.
Is there any more questions? Jeff, okay, Carol?
Can the planning committee limit the number of solar farms we have here in the county?
No.
So I know you had a question about, and I don't know what that wording is. The way.
Like Indiana code,
Yeah,
just having dealt with Indiana code for a lot of years, typically Indiana code is overwritten. And it's kind of like, it's basically to cover all the bases. So it's not an all or nothing. It doesn't mean that just because these offensive words are in this code, they don't apply to us. But if this project falls within one of those items, then we can move forward under that code.
okay.
So I was gonna preface, I'm not an attorney either.
So does that? Is there a motion on this resolution 2023-1?
I just like to make one other
Oh,
comment.
I'm sorry, I forgot you did.
Number one, I know, I go back to this the old contract that you had, you were gonna start that in June if it passed, according to this contract, but that's not gonna work now. I understand that.
I think it's a range. It should be a range.
It said completion date 12/31/25.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
So that could be variable, whatever it might be.
That's right.
My other thought was, and Dudley and I said something about it, is that irregardless of what we do, it just sounds like to me that this farmer or these farmers can do this. They can do it. And we're not in a position to say you can't. And the money in 10 years, I understand the middle side of it. Kelly, you talked about that. I do. And we can't say, hey, this is the United States of America, you can't do that. And it's zoning. It is county, Jim McKee. I know, and I attended meetings, you directed it, and we had zoning discussion. And all this has passed zoning planning. And so I was saying, no money in 10 years doesn't mean that much. because we are fountain county, you know, and I hate to take away from somebody that either or. Just a tough decision to make. That's the only comment that I had. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion on this resolution number 2023-1?
Language. We gonna get that language, is it okay, or?
Is that something we can have changed?
Yeah, I mean, I drafted up something literally on the spot, because I, again, hadn't been given the resolution before. But you can change that, I mean, I've written it here to say the area has become undesirable for normal development and occupancy because of other factors which prevent a normal development or use of the property. So it takes out those offensive
Yeah.
words. Would you like this? Would that
Yeah.
be helpful?
Sure, sure.
Sorry, chicken scratch.
No, no, you're
But
good.
that's promised that you can have a.
No, it doesn't happen. Because that can be put in here, it's the back page, yeah, okay.
Right.
And that's what she's referring to.
Right, exactly.
That.
I think that was actually suited.
For this Friday. Okay.
He kind of.
It covers it.
What a time to do is that.
Did Kent draw this up or did Rick Hall?
That's,
So he was-
that's one you signed
Yeah.
before, just the dates changed.
Okay. So is there a motion with changing the paragraph to what she's written? Okay,
I make a motion to approve it based on the contingency of the changing of the language. Can we do that?
is there a second?
I second.
Okay, sure. Okay, the motion's been made, second to approve resolution 2023-1 with this page of changes on the one paragraph. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed, 2. That's so. Passes 5-2, and then next month we'll have the public hearing. Okay, thanks. Okay, oh, let's see. I'll give you that. Sign this.
Into the eye.
Yeah, they're coming in there, so. Okay, so now we have, we're only gonna have 3. To vote on the minutes. Chairman Lau, the 3 new can't vote on it. My wife voted. Okay, so has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the December 12th meeting as presented? Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion, second,
I'll second.
Kelly, okay. And only the 3 of us can vote on that because 3 new were not here making that vote, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's 3-0 minutes. Okay, review and acknowledge treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report of funds for December 22nd. Is everyone, is our motion to acknowledge and review of them? Okay, Tom, second. Kelly, all those in favor?
Aye.
6-0. Review and acknowledge clerk's monthly report for November 2022. Our motion to acknowledge that.
Make the motion.
Kelly, second. All those in favor? So, report of collections is submitted, acknowledge the report of collections received from the ambulance October and November, health department November, recorder November, sheriff for November. Motion to acknowledge those. Denise second, all those in favor? So. Okay, ABC appointment to the Alcohol and Beverage Commission for 2023. Bill Williams is the person on there now, and he would like to continue to serve as on the Alcohol and Beverage Commission. Is there a motion to appoint Bill Williams? Kelly, second. All those in favor? So, okay, Solid Waste Management Board. Tom Boo would like to serve on that. Is there a motion to nominate Tom to the Solid Waste Board? And Jeff, second. Denise, all those in favor? 6-0. It's not on here, but the JRAC, Justice Reinvestment Advisory Committee, that is an appointment, and I am appointing Kelly to be the council representative on the JRAC committee. Emergency management, Jeff would like to serve on that. Is there a motion to appoint Jeff Fisher O'Kelly? Second, all those in favor? 6-0. Insurance committee, Denise would like to serve on that. Is there a motion to appoint Denise to the insurance committee? Kelly, Dale, second. All those in favor? And the trustees of the Fountain County Employment Benefit Trust, Dale White, serve on that. Is there a motion to appoint Dale to that one? And Jeff, second. Denise, all those in favor? 5-0. Planning Commission, Jim McKee would like to serve on that. Is there a motion to appoint Jim to the Planning Commission? Kelly, Tom, second. All those in favor? 6-0. Board of Zoning Appeals, Rodney Norman is on there now, would like to be reappointed. Is there a motion to Rodney Norman? Okay, Denise, second. Dale, all those in favor? Okay. Encumbrances, 2022 budget to 2023, sheriff is requesting to encumber $14,157.57 for medical services, utilities, and a service contract. Is there a motion to encumber those funds? Kelly, second. Jeff, all those in favor? So, circuit court, county general, $2,583.60 for capital outlay. So, a motion to encumber those funds. Second. Kelly, all those in favor? Hey, department head. Mark Gard? What's the matter, Joe? Do you want to go first? Okay, I'll go first. Okay.
A couple things, so talk to you guys a little bit about Insure, a lot of you were here. We were approached by a company called Insure. Basically what they do is they look us out with it. Okay, perfect, so you know about it. We sent a batch of information to the company. It was a batch of 30 that we couldn't find any insurance on. Out of those, they found 19 that we were able to get insurance back. So when we gave them all of our information, they estimated around, we usually collect about $450 per claim. So when you take the 19 times that, I think it came up to like $8,800, I think somewhere in there, give or take. The other 11 we looked at, are majority of all of them were people didn't have any insurance at all. So there wasn't going to be any information on that.
The other day, after she did some training with the company, she had 5 of them that she couldn't find anything on. She entered those 5 in, those all 5 came back with insurance information. So I think this is gonna work out pretty well. So,
Can you remind me what the cost on that was? That you were-
I, $588 a month, I think it's about like $7,100 for the year.
That's what's on it.
Yeah. So with that being said, moving forward, I can't remember what we decided, how we were gonna fund that. I did receive the first invoice on it, which was prorated. But I didn't know, do I need to go ask for additional for that? Or how do you guys? We talked about it, but I can't recall what we talked, what the decision was.
Then we take it out of council.
I think that was the intention.
Everybody okay with that, we take it out of council.
Okay,
Because it'd be collected 8,000.
yeah, it's still $8,300. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was just
That
one
pays the
month.
whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just a 1 month period. I was from October. She didn't have any others in, so if she would have done November, we could have had, if it'd been more. So I think it's working out pretty well. So, ambulances, I did have, I give you an update on that. I did talk to the representative the other day. He got correspondence back from Horton, which is the 2 brand new ones we bought. They are getting chassis in now. They're starting to release chassis to them. About 20 to 30 at a time. He says, well, is one of those ours? Cotton County, he said, no, you guys can way down the line. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that we'll have chassis this year, or if it's more towards the end of the year, we will get the truck into 2022 and 2024. I know the cost is an issue, but he said he would work with us on that, staggering that out if we need to. So there could be a possibility we may get a delivery of one, if not both this year. The other one is ordered, but it's ordered differently. The remount, he has to order that on his own, so I'm not sure what the timeline is gonna be on that, but with Ford being a large company, they're gonna get the precedent. That's why they're getting the chassis. So other than that, we finished out last year with 3,014 runs. The year before, we had 2,950. So numbers not changing, numbers are going up.
I have any questions, Charlie?
I can't speak for Denise or Jeff, or Tom or Kelly either, but I welcome an invitation at your convenience or your staff's convenience, to do a deep dive and learn more about the ambulance service, how it works, what it does.
Come right on me, yeah.
Pardon me?
Come right on me, yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that 8 to 4? Is B shift 8 to 4?
Absolutely.
So I don't want to take away anybody's time or anything like that, but just a couple hour deep dive sometime.
Absolutely.
That's.
Doors open anytime. You can, man, you can ride, you can go home on the ambulance. I've had council members in ride and come in and rode with us, commissioners.
Can work out.
You can work out in the weight room too.
We can also have a TV show right on.
Yes. I will tell you that I've had council members and commissioners in. I had one time come in, actually it was under when Virginia was there, and he picked the perfect time to come, I guess. We were so busy that he actually got up and left, and he come back and told her, he said, I have the utmost respect for you guys. He says, I don't know how you can do this. And I'm not tooting our horn, I'm just saying is, and you may come over and you make, common theme is, you get them over and sit in the leather seats. Okay, or leather recliners. Or you might find yourself in the back of the ambulance on multiple runs. So.
I know you guys earn your keep that you drive past my house multiple times during the day and week, so.
And I know you guys had a hard decision earlier, but just to piggyback off of that is, I approached you guys on the count at the budget hearing about a 4th ambulance. Staffing, we're there. I told you we'd have to look at it this year. We're gonna have to seriously look at it right now. especially helping cover the attic area. You know, we're not transporting a lot into Williamsport, we're going to Lafayette a lot. So you're looking at an hour and a half to 2 hour turnaround time. Right now, just say Warren County is having staffing issues. Friday, we were there on 3 runs.
Warren County.
Yeah. Now, we made sure our county was covered, but, you know, we were over covering. And it's a hit and miss, you know, there's times they're okay, but we're helping, we are assisting them covering. So we're gonna have to have a serious look at somehow funding that 4th ambulance. Because we're that busy.
Yeah,
And you see it.
I do, and I hear it.
Yeah.
I do, I know that Attica, there was somebody that had to wait 30 minutes for an ambulance because Warren County was out and Fountain County was out. And nobody could cover because they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
They were we talking about the bridge just going
Yeah, just going south there, buddy. I don't need to make any special thing just for me. I just,
we're open door, have doors open anytime, you know, and
I'll coordinate with you guys.
All right.
but not just just bring it to your attention that we're gonna have, you know, I've talked with the commissioners about, we're gonna have to really look at that and, you know, because we're at that point now. And I brought it to you guys before, we were kind of at the talk of it, but we're at that point now.
Sorry, can't go back on Wednesday.
I wish. They turned that down back in I think it was 1974, when they stepped out of that. You guys have any questions for me?
Any other questions? Okay,
Okay.
thanks,
Have a
Doug.
great day.
Yep.
Susan, I know you have health issues, they're hard to set, so you got anything for us? Anybody have any questions for Susan?
The only thing that I will read is you're for the sea letters out to the tax days. So we have.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks. Joe, you have anything? See you shaking her head.
One thing on the appointments, I noticed it didn't have an appointment for the LEPC. They have before, but
Who was on there?
well, usually the same person do a,
Oh, so Jeff's the emergency management appointment, so I'll be LAPC.
I'll put you on the email list for, that's our local emergency planning. committee.
Yeah, it should be the same as your.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
The other thing is, last year we had, approval of 26,000 repair of the tornado sirens that didn't get completed. So I need to come back and request that, so it's in there for this year.
that feel like they come or did it?
No, I mean, we can do it now.
Oh, have you got the bill though?
No,
Oh,
and then, yeah, I didn't get.
Okay, well, then, yeah, just so when that comes, when you get the bill, then you, we can put it down as, but let's not advertise it as additional. We got that.
Just as long as I know that
Yeah, we'll
I, just
check
as
it
long as I
out.
know that I get the bill and be paid.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of, we'll make, I mean, council needs to approve it out of our council budget that we can.
Okay.
Cause I don't wanna pay for additional advertising right at the beginning of the year, plus BLGF kind of frowns at that. at the Beginning, so. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be repaired, so, but just when you get the bill, bring it to us and we'll get the council approval on taking it out of council plans, okay? Anybody have any questions for Joe? Okay.
Have a good day, Joe.
Is Jason still here?
Yes.
Let's see. Anything for us?
We are currently working on our 2023 budget, to get our 5-year plan. And this year's plan of what we're going to chip and seal, culverts we're going to replace, and paving we're going to be doing. Also working on our first call for the community crossing grant 23. We're planning on utilizing that money for North River Road from Tippecanoe County line to Attica city limits.
Okay. Will that include painting the?
That'll
Lines.
include the striping on the
Okay,
sides,
great.
and the edging of the roads as well.
Okay.
Jason, can you just briefly tell the council, like, how roads come to be, like, what gets blacktop, what doesn't, like, how do you make that determination?
Okay, so,
Just because I know they get the call just as much as we do, like, hey, why is my road not getting it, but there's this.
okay, there's a rating system for our hard surface roads called the Pacer rating. Either myself and Travis, assistant superintendent, will go out and run the roads and grade them. There's a certain way to grade the roads, how they ride, what they look like, just different aspects of the roads. We then determine through one through 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being new hard surface roads. That's how we determine. We go out and there's a itinerary of what we need to follow as far as how we justify what gets paid. We'll usually ask USI for some help, our consultants with that as well. But that's how we determine what gets paid as well.
Does USI write the grant for community crossing?
They help with it. I generally take care of it. I would definitely help with it. Other than that, that's what we're planning on this year. We're looking at probably 30 to 40 miles of chip seal this year. And with the community crossings, that's 8 miles of road. And then we're looking to do possibly 3 to 4 miles of paving on our own. So.
I need to give you a thank you from Mr. Reeves in Fountain County. He lives by, I think that's 1300 north, going east. He appreciates this done.
They don't get that very often.
Yeah, the guys are out grading today and we're stockpiling some 53, we can get some stuff on the roads as well. So.
Perfect. And he said it was nice white stone and he went there.
Community crossing, is that once or twice a year?
They have 2 callings. We usually just go for 1 calling. That way we can get our full $1 million.
Okay.
That's 80/20.
Do you know when you're gonna start on River Road? I just want to let people know in my area.
We haven't submitted the application yet. That's beginning next week, I believe, or this week. And then once we get it approved by the state of that, it may be end of spring, beginning of summer, or maybe midsummer.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it depends on contractor who's doing it, what their schedule's like. So
Well, really encumber those 800 cars that drive up and down the road. In my mind, I did not realize how many, you had 800 going, but only 600 came back. Where'd the other 200 people go? They go down 28, past my house or what? No, it's crazy.
but that's our plan right now.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'd make the same offer if during the slow time, if you're available to give us give me a deep dive into the highway department. I mean, you're a big chunk of the budget. Anything you can do to help us help you. I don't want to take your time during, a blizzard or anything like, or maybe you want to.
Say that's when you do that.
drive the truck.
Probably with some of the guys. Not all of them, but
Denise will go and do it. I know it's something.
along those lines, thanks for the decision you guys did make earlier today. I know our budget gets cut quite a bit every year, it seems, so hopefully these funds will allow us to keep up the roads and culverts and bridges and other necessities, not only winter, but throughout the county.
Where do we stand out on the salt barn?
Worked out with you guys last time, so I don't.
I don't understand, so I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I thought you found a design on the design.
No, we had the design. I got another number for you guys and we just left it until this year. At first, we were going to use the ARPA funds and then decided that wasn't going to happen.
And then
So
it
I
got
have,
really late.
Yeah, and I have 2 other quotes that I gave to you guys.
Why don't you get those together and bring them back tonight, so we can look at them.
Because if this is something that's gonna be taking place, you'd like to get your pad correct and ready to go. So that would be the first thing we did, spring before we start.
Yeah.
Paving.
Be sure those quotes are still back.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Grayson, I'll talk with the other 2 as well.
Yeah.
Was one of them about like the Warren County salt work?
No.
It's-
Was Montgomery County.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the numbers, I just, you know.
Montgomery County is what we were actually looking at. It's pretty.
Yeah, I drove by, it's nice.
I said, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, pretty can be expensive, but we want practical and economic.
It looks efficient. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Efficient.
Okay, so. bring that in.
Thanks, Jake.
Okay.
Great.
Josh, you have anything?
If I'm sure I'm having lost that up.
Yeah, so I think,
Things to do.
I think Melissa, Missy left, and yeah, she's going, so and I don't know where Patty is. No. Do you have anything?
No, I got business. No, well, let's talk about everybody's least favorite topic.
Yeah.
I know that. You've been in private school this weekend. To our new members, I would love for you to come and go on a debt call. If I'm in your area, I can give you a call and say, hey, let's meet up. Last year we did 39 scenes, 41, totaling up to 41. We did 2 just kind of phone consults to determine I don't really need to go to the scene and stuff like that. 9 autopsies, not including 2 out-of-county autopsies that were required by Indiana code to pay for. Heart disease is still the #1 killer in Fountain County. It always will, unless we have some great big traumatic collision on the interstate. I expressed in the commissioners meeting my disappointment with Covington High School. They turned down the every 15 minutes program this year. Again. They cited a variety of reasons, but it's just really super disappointing. And it's too late in the year to go somewhere else. We did finish at Vatican, and it's too late at this point to go to concert. And that, again, I'll express to new members, that's not tax dollars that does that. We get that through the community foundation and through local businesses. Start talking up your school board members and let them know we need to get this program out. I know the judge would love us to do every school every year. And that's just not only physically, it's so many hours. So, we do have refrigeration in Fountain County. This was during COVID, we were able to get a small 3-body cooler. We housed that under a memorandum of understanding at Dickerson Fuel One. He pays for the electricity, we let him use it. When it comes time to move, that cooler will move with us to a new facility. Last year with that cooler, we were able to help the VA out of Danville with a indigent gentleman that died at the waters in family. And we were able to keep him safe until they were able to get his disposition arranged. And that ended up taking 18 days. That's the longest storage period we've had. We worked a case, I worked a case Thursday. I was able to finally find a family member, a first cousin, and she wanted nothing to do with the decedent. From Thursday, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear this fast, we haven't talked to each other in 5 years. So I'm working with the township trustee out of Malott. It falls on them to pay for indigent burials. Unfortunately, all township trustees have about this much money in their indigent fund. And it's never enough to cover, what it actually costs. That first cousin was willing to sign away her rights to the deceased, so we're going to be able to cremate her by Indiana code. So I hate to be blunt, but I'm a Fountain County kid, so we'll be able to cremate her. That's the least expensive way to do it.
I saw your post on social media. Was that tool helpful or?
Absolutely.
Proven to be helpful to the fine family?
We've done that 3 times through my Facebook page, I made a Fountain County Farmers Facebook page. And I posted that Friday morning about 6:20, by 7:50.
I had a direct message with name, phone number, and a street address. It was amazing. We had a gentleman outside in Attica last year or the year before. Things got really good. We had absolutely no idea. He just came, he kept to himself. He was kind of a little hermit, lived in upstairs. Unfortunately, he died with a ton of cash. So the sheriff's department helped me with that. They took, custody of the cash and we locked it in the sheriff's property vault and things.
I thought you posted very professional.
Yeah, and by the next day, bam, we had it. So, and then I do like to put in, thank you to the public, we found the next kid and stuff, and then I remove the post. I kind of find it confused. There's, things that are. I don't see us, unfortunately, having less cases this year. We did have a few less cases in 22 than we had in 21. We had considerably more COVID related cases in 21 than we've had in 22. We started out, unfortunately, bang on the third. I would guess that maybe me shaking the tree of Tippecanoe County sent, because they only sent us a bill for 2 or 3 this year as opposed to the 7 that they did the year before. So maybe rattling their tree a little bit helped, maybe it didn't. Everybody's welcome to reach out if you have questions about what I do or what my staff does. Myself and Wally Hooker are the only, I'm considered full-time. Wally's my chief deputy, he's considered part-time. And then I have on-call deputies that work under us because I like to go on vacation to second rest. I do administrate as a coroner from the ambulance as well. Garth and I had that conversation many years ago when I took office. He just lets me just kind of slide right in and it's efficiency. I don't have to wait for somebody else to come down, or I don't have to have an ambulance crew sitting there waiting. We can get those trucks back in service as good as possible. So you might have a question for me? Yes, ma'am.
I didn't have any drug overdose death.
I would say off the top of my head 3 in 22, but I haven't run the numbers completely. If you'll remind me at the commissioners meeting next week, I'll give you those numbers. That's okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, it's very, very public knowledge. I mean, we can all look that up, but I try to track that, and I like to send that to Dudley every year, so you guys at least have an idea where our money's going.
How's the band working out?
Yes.
Extremely. There are on the 3rd, we had a gentleman pass at home, and their funeral director of choice was in Connersville. He was a local funeral director, but he was in Connersville picking up a deceased individual. So I'm like, can I just take him to the funeral instead of waiting 2 hours to get back? And so it's extremely. Just beyond.
And we will have an office in the index, right?
Yeah.
If we ever get there.
Yeah, and they'll have an exam room that's for you guys. Historically, cases all went to Tippecanoe County for autopsy. I'm not a fan of that. I would prefer they stay as close as possible. It's easier for resources. So we contract with Moss Funeral Home. That was it. We contract with Moss Funeral Home. And he lets us use his facility, his property management there. Mr. Moss and I modified our MOU verbally. He does no longer want a facility for cases that his company is going to use. We used to pay $150 no matter if his company got the case or we got or another company. So we're only paying him for companies outside his use. So he was nice enough to modify that agreement for us.
You do that yearly.
Then I do it by term. He and I had a conversation before Christmas. He's like, we're not.
How many coolers do you have?
Just one.
Just one now?
One cooler. It has 3 slots.
How many do you expect?
I would say the 3-slot cooler would be fine. Given if there's some kind of, again, traumatic incident or something, through emergency management, they've had contacts with the district has a 22 or 25 body trailer. I don't know, but we can have that resource here in a couple of hours. And if we can use it long term as well, it can be plugged into a building and it's got a big AC unit on it. So the three bodies we have is sufficient. Well, thank you all very much.
Roger, do you have?
Thank you. I have a meeting and like this where I get interrupted. I guess I'm Robert Rosar. I'm the acting county engineer and surveyor. I help with zoning. And help with whatever the county needs. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the landfill because it's on your schedule here. We spent a lot of money on the landfill over the past 5 years. We recapped the south and the north gap landfills. They were in very bad shape. There was a lot of water trending in the landfill caps, percolating through the landfill, and that showed on the monitoring wells that Rhode Island, the reporting of Rhode Island. So we recapped the landfill, we regraded it. Greg is doing a great job at maintaining that landfill. It gets rolled every spring and every fall to make sure that the compaction stays on top of it, make sure everything is draining away from it. And the last set of analytical results, I started seeing some decline in the chlorides, which is a very good news for us. And hopefully, that will continue to improve and allow us to get that landfill off of items radar. We redid the road that goes to the landfill. We straightened it out because it was cutting through some of the waste areas. And we graded the back and all kinds of little projects that went on. We spent a lot of money on that, but I think it was money well deserved because that landfill was deteriorating fast. Other than that, everything looks good. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Hey, Roger, I'd like to go through that entire process with you now at the landfill.
Absolutely.
If you would,
Absolutely.
give me a call. We've talked before.
Yeah. I'd be happy to walk you through there and Greg will come with us because he does all the minutes on it. But from an engineering perspective, I can show you what we did, why we did it, why it made sense. We had to go through a lot of hoops with the item to get that through and finally, once we got it done, I'm happy with what I see. I hope that the results start to trend downwards on that.
Roger,
Yes.
we just received notice. Right here. We received notice from David Joe and from the services thing. All of our wells are down in reporting. So that's okay. That's what we would.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
That's good. And they're not recommending additional testing.
Where were you? Were you in there?
I'm watching,
Yeah. Okay, any questions for?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do, I kind of know how they work through Tom, and do they show any concern of that school being so close to that?
Not at all. The school is upstream from the landfill, which is the good part.
Yeah.
Our water and the landfill actually comes from the school towards the river, towards, groundwater moves always towards waterways. So it's running away from that school. So they're upstream of us. If there are any hits or any contamination in the school, it's definitely not from the landfill. We have to look into that.
They test all the time, like
Yes.
a municipality.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of concern with papers over the past years about human cancer cases and things like that. Through water testing, there wasn't anything that, there was a red flag. Yeah, I just wondered how and what they're.
No, they do. Some of the biggest concerns I would look at are nitrates because we're in farmland.
Right.
North Vermilion School Corporation had to scrub their entire system. And we brought water from Cayuga to them. And they thought there was a spill upstream from them, a big nitrate thing that busted. They blamed it on the cow farmer next door, and there was a whole mess of things. But that's what they look for because we are in agricultural areas. Any of the landfill contaminants would trigger, the farmer didn't put them in there. The farmer did not put vinyl chloride in the ground. The farmer did not put PCE and TCE and DCE in the ground. So it would trigger very quickly, and they haven't seen any of that.
And we have our test well all around, and we watch those all the time. And then, like I said, when the red flag comes up, they let us know and we have to do additional testing.
You can see.
Now, they're cool, you can sure, well, there's where the flag comes up, just recently.
And they came to us, IDM came to us and said, is it possible? And they looked, we gave them all our recording and stuff, and they ended up finding out it came from an old well line that was south of the school. So it's my father said downstream from that, so. I think we're okay. But yeah. There's been a lot of it's not very problem.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Is the sheriff here?
Yeah.
You're always hiding back there on us, Barry. Hey, last month we talked about that. And so in 2021, we received $349,000 for out of county housing of prisoners. Did we find out what we received last year? You were gonna find that out for me. Okay, so next month, could you
Yes,
give us a
I will.
report of what we received in 2022?
All right, so I usually turn an annual report every year in January, so if you turn in for this month. We, like North, we're actually at 1,200 calls this year from last year. So,
You're up from how many?
we were 6,000 something last, 21, 22, we had over 7,400 calls of service. So, and I've got that actually broke down. So, from domestics to burglaries to, traffic stops, it's all broken down.
Okay.
So,
And Colleen sends us his report once it's.
So we'll see that.
You'll see that, this commissary, and then
yeah, listen to all.
all that. you'll see.
We do have something to bring to the council. It's not a very good thing. So I received a letter from the town of Ely about how the trash that comes to the sewer lines and all that, the wastewater, there's actually trash coming down. We have it's called a benefit monster, which chews up, it's supposed to chew up everything. But that's nothing to buy it. I'm going to the town of Ely. So they sent me a nice letter. I've got a meeting next week with them about how we're going to rectify the problem. Well, according to a few people I talked to, that system was supposed to be a two-step system when it was put in. We've only got one step. So I'm not sure who or how it got bypassed on the blueprints.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And I've actually got Roger going with me next week.
Petersburg put that in association with the county. County helped pay for that.
Well, they're busy complaining that we're stopping at their system. They said, well, you're not, they said, well, we need to stop them at commissary.
Jim,
That's not gonna
you
happen.
were probably on the board about the same time.
And we put a sewer line out there. We didn't have anything to do with the grinder that should have been put in on the design when the jail was built. That was missed by the architects and the construction manager. Cost us another $250,000-300,000. So the system, what it does, essentially, so they're in mix. They got 365 days a year, 7 days a week to think of how to mess something up. Not gonna correct the problem, I'm sorry. So they're ripping up sheets and blankets and they're trying to flush it, trying to clog the system. Well, not exactly working up this new jail. It did out the old jail. So the new jail, so when they flush this, it goes to the grinder. The grinder is supposed to grind it up pretty small. From that grinder, it goes over to another grinder that actually goes up on the conveyor belt, and from my understanding, the whole system squeezes out all the liquid. And whatever's left over gets dumped into a dumpster before it leaves our facility and goes on down to beauty. So again, I've got a meeting next week with the town of Leesburg to talk about what we need to do to resolve the problem. Well, they're gonna start writing citations.
Okay, so the grinder, is it,
Yeah.
we did not pay for it, or did we pay for it and it didn't
I
get
don't
installed?
know, because it was already in the ground before I even did law.
Okay, because if we didn't pay for it, then it's probably something that's gotta be done, but we can use the lit funds because it is for
Okay.
the jail, but I mean, it's gotta be, you gotta have it, that's already.
You have to have it in.
But we need to find out whether we paid for it, it just didn't get installed or what happened.
Yes, we go over that.
Do you remember anything like that?
You might talk to Jim, because I know Jim Lee went over there every day, to see what's going on, maybe he got.
Right, okay. Yeah, I guess it is supposed to be a two-step system. Yeah, I guess it's at every jail. Park County, Rockville, and the prison just had to put these into.
Do you know how much they were?
Park County. and Indiana Department.
150 to 2.
Okay.
But just make sure we didn't pay for it.
Right, no, absolutely. Like I said, I don't know, a lot of that was already done before I came in the office, so.
Yeah. Right,
Who designed it, who did what, that, so.
but you might, like I said, talk to Jim Lee, because I know Jim Lee.
Yeah, I'll call.
He went out there every night, because he's our representative on the jail committee, so, yeah. You might know.
So,
You might know where it's at.
Let the sand get us some bids.
I've already, we're talking to Roger, Roger's gonna help. If he's done it, so, yeah, we already have Roger out there looking, because there actually has to have a. I'm not sure the size of the building, it has to be created. So they're actually gonna mess up my asphalt in the parking lot, what's that? The empty lot, because I don't want that building nowhere near to the building, the jail. And it's gonna be a stinky mess, so 9 times out of 10, the wind will be blowing towards the interstate.
How did you learn that it was to be a two-step and you only had a one-step, and how did you learn? Yeah, how did you learn that?
Well, sir, the letters that Petersburg keeps sending me, and that's one. Now I'm going, okay, we got the grant. So I actually called DA Dodd to come in and take a look. I thought, well, this grinder's not working properly. He comes in and goes, no, it's set right, it's working properly. Well, then we kept talking to, we were bringing some, and this one was two-step process. So we started talking about this two-step process. So that's how we got to know that, hey, something went right here. And there is, if you actually open up that pit, which is in my parking lot, when you look down in there, yeah, there's packages, there's chip bags, pieces of uniforms. So that, you see there's floor around, and it's got logs on top of the ledge. I mean, so I can see what they're saying, it's going on down the system, it's plugging up their stuff, so they've actually got guys working on that hole. So, well, and try to be a good neighbor, you're not.
And they're putting in a new sanitation system. And it all falls downhill.
Yep.
That's who's catching it.
Yep.
Okay, so that new system, that's how they found it out. Here it goes,
So.
Sorry.
The sewer superintendent here, she's been on me for 2 years, since the jail. She's just been digging it out of her system the whole time, which is finally tired.
Yeah.
So that was how she's put up with it for how long the jail, So, and since they are getting this new system, I'm gonna continue to do this.
Right. So you think it's maybe for?
I don't know, I'm just asking that,
Make sure.
yeah, we need to make sure
The
the company that put it in, I mean, we need to look at certain.
All they do is pay for the all the other things. When you're saying on your computer corner too. And you're having to see what was included in the
They didn't want to put any money in it, right? Right now, you don't know that.
Actually, it'd be not their problem.
We're on that.
Yes, it's on that.
What was a governmental kind of association deal because somebody didn't have enough money? That's why Petersburg put it first place for the county, right? So that's the reason why it might be a. Those.
But again, in the beginning, it should have been, I mean, if I go back and I find it's not part of the design, somebody dropped the ball somewhere. So, we'll look and see if I can't find it. But, if they would have seen that, we would be standing here today telling you, hey, I need this system. So.
How many people do that?
We have 66 in there and I'm getting paid for 32 of those. So, not bad.
No, absolutely. Okay, do we-
Who was supposed to put that in, the grinder? Anybody know?
I think it was DA Dunn actually put the system in. I can't, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm gonna be.
I have to reach out to them.
I'll try to find out, yeah. So.
Now, why would they say it's highly likely it was not in the design, that they then track, go through everything. Determine the jail over, that would have been a major, that would have been a bolt or something, that would have been major, it wasn't there. So we looked.
Garth, it doesn't involve you at all, right? Because you had some problems out there. But that's all fixed, right?
that range problem, but.
That's done.
So don't you see that when first day is.
In that when Matt came in and ran the camera, a little bit of a, with drivers, there's a little bit of a. Well, it's not kind of settled, but we're not having issues with it, and Matt said every so often you could guard those in and pull it out. But on the living quarter side, it's working.
So any questions for Terry? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
That will be considered biohazard equipment to, get out and drive them. And who will you have to call here?
Yeah, reach out to these other places that are doing it, find out who they're using. Yeah. That's, so, that machine is actually squeezing that stuff out, goes on very good, the other dumpster, and have somebody to get the dumpster, to trade it out dumpster. Now, I'm hoping it's, what's wrong?
We hope. Hey, good luck out there. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sheriff, and I have to move off from you guys. The ambulance department, hear that siren a lot. Jason, our roads. I had goes off to you.
I appreciate that.
You work around the clock. And I hope you got enough people that's helping you. I don't know what you're gonna run into every second.
Right.
And there's too much crime.
It's not getting any better.
So good luck.
Thank you.
thank you. Commissioners, anything?
Thank you.
We do.
Okay,
Sorry, Andrew had to leave, so I wanted to kind of touch on what he was wanting to say. Just so you're aware, we did sign the DOT agreement, and so we do have the plans for the Maple Corner, the annex, that Andrew will forward to the council members, because I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen. So he's been working with department heads to, just check with the plans to see if that's what we want done to the building, so he'll forward that to all of you. So it looks like things are going forward, so I think our next step is to request the proposals, and then we'll work on getting bids and everything, so that's where we're at a year later, but here we are. Yes. I did give you information on the health department, with two of them having two positions. I would encourage you to look at what I presented to you on behalf of the commissioners, on their pay and what they're doing and their duties and everything,
and the director is going to look into state funds, so we're not gonna act on this today, but she wants everybody to read over this and.
I just want you to have time, to look at what their job description is, and I'll forward on the grant, the FEP grant person coordinator to get the grants to you once I get that on letterhead. And the assistant environmentalist. Because, even though we have two, one specializing more in septic, one in the food service. They work together on everything. I want to touch base a little bit.
Just a second,
Yes.
okay. This is the approval of December minutes, so, yeah, so, if you just white out the these, okay. No, Jim.
My bad.
No, that's right. Jim, maybe we can get Jim to sign that. So that way we'll have four.
The next item with the region that we're a part of for the rate grant, you know, I sent information about the childcare. Just to give you a heads up, Covington School is working on St. Ryan Sowers and superintendent on something at Covington School. And so I did reach out to Ryan and give him information of what funds would be available for the match and everything. Of course, the county, you know, have to, county council would have a budget for that. But just to give you a little history of the data for the child care under 5, there's 1,300 living in Fountain County, 802 need child care, we're only servicing 144. So it's pretty evident, you know, that there is a need, you know, if we want our work, if we have a workforce, you know, to go hand in hand, so we need some child care to help with that. Right now, the Attica Learning Center, you know, there's something at the elementary, Southeast Fountain, there's 44. Childcare, and at the Head Start, Fountain Warren, there's 44. So that's where we are on our numbers. So when Ryan gets something together, I think he's going to present it, you know, to the council and the commissioners of what they're proposing for that. So it's going to take some time.
Brenda, I read a lot of information about this childcare. And that each county has to fund a certain amount. How was that determined the amount? Because I thought it was gonna be less than 23,000.
I think based on and I can forward that email to you as well. Benton County, I think Warren County, Fountain County, we were about the same as a point.
It was all the same.
There's about 4 of us that had that 24,000 per year. Tippecanoe County, you know, they were, you know, up there quite a bit. So I think it was based on, I don't know if it's population or what figures they go by to determine them. You know, the region itself got X amount of dollars, and then they took that dollar amount and just kind of spread it out amongst the counties involved. Because that was our thing. When we joined that region, we wanted to make sure we weren't the stepchild, and we wanted some things for our county that, you know, we're gonna have to be a little aggressive, you know, to go after.
Because it gets pretty extensive. I mean, they go back into women's care all the way back, you know, this report. And now you finally get down to somebody who's not able to take care of a child. And it gets put on the county,
This particular, yes.
that particular situation. And I just wondered how it all got funneled down from Tippecanoe County. Apparently they got the grant, right?
Well, our region did.
Our region.
30 million. Same way with the housing project, you know, we were given almost 1.5 million. Of course, the county itself did not have any housing development projects in place, but we knew that Covington and Attica did. We're not aware of any other cities or towns that are, you know, into some kind of housing projects, but once we do hear of it, I think there are some future plans for some more funding for the housing project, so we'll entertain. It might be different than what we have right now. They should have made the announcement last week on the Ready 2. But with Skywalker and the chips and everything going in it made it ideal for this particular housing project where you don't have to match money. So it's just kind of like a gift.
So that's 70,000 to Attica.
750,000.
Or 750,000 each.
Yes, we split 50-50. Because
Part of
it's
that.
comparable. Actually, Covington has it has 2 or 3 building projects, but we were only aware of one. And that particular size is 42 homes versus Attica's about 47. But I think Covington's going to have some more plans in place with they're working with their council. Yeah.
So they should have been divided up differently than the dollar amount.
Well, we didn't know it at the time. It doesn't really matter. We just, Attica's gonna have some more, Attica's probably gonna have more than what Covington is because they're looking into apartments and duplexes, which that wasn't ready. They only had their housing part ready. And they have until 2026 to have infrastructures done.
That goes, Carol. What I was mentioning earlier is that this Ready grant, we're part of a region, 11 counties that receive $30 million. And if you're shovel ready, so to speak, whether it's housing, childcare, recreation, trails. Some of it's free money and some of it is matching money. But if you don't have a comprehensive plan in place, I don't know, we can say what's fair and what's not fair. You know, that's not fair. It's not fair to say what is fair is that there's projects in place behind the scenes, but nobody knows what the priorities are of the county. And so until that becomes more public, I think we can provide a better service to our towns, our townships, our schools. This is just free money, so we're trying to find a place to put it, but nobody has a plan for it.
Otherwise, a lot of the money that they have up there at the ready, if Fountain County doesn't have anything, and we do, there's indexed, I'm sitting there, it's like, I don't know of anything that Fountain County is really working on, so I really can't go after those funds. So what happens is what is designated for Fountain County then gets split up to the other counties that do have a plan.
And so we can't say that Fountain County is the stepchild because we have opportunities to play, but we're choosing not to put a playbook into play to be a party to receive some of these funds.
So we are working on getting a comprehensive plan. We wanted to reach out. Well, we reached out to a vendor last year, and so that kind of got changed. We have a new vendor, being longest in Neff, I think, Heidi Longenecker, Christy Smith. We've reached out to her.
They get married?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, well, not good. Yeah. So I need to make contact with her and see when they want to meet, but we're obviously gonna have to come to the council to get funds because that was not budgeted. But like Dale has emphasized, we need that in place so that I'm ready. If I'm gonna be on that region board, I need to know what we have. And that being said, I'm down a person. The two mayors are both, they haven't been going to those meetings. I could be. We don't have an economic development person, and that would be ideal if I could get another person. So we have 4 votes. So when all this stuff got put together last year, that was where those 4 votes were very important. And so moving forward, now some of these things we're starting to need to upload our letter of commitments. And we can get congressmen and senators, if it's something they're really passionate about, they would help support our cause because it gets submitted to the state as far as is this eligible or not.
Okay, set up for Patty to talk to us. Okay.
Any other questions?
You don't know any specifics about what Ryan brings.
No, I know it's countywide. I think it would be.
It's not just Covington.
It's not just Covington, no, because I did ask them, it would be at Covington. It's the same way with other programs. They have students that, so I'm sure busing would be something you're gonna have to consider.
How many do you think kids will be in service with those programs?
I'm not sure right now. I mean, I have other people working on it. I just, had an opportunity for some funds, to be available.
And you have a 5-year walking streets in.
But yeah, childcare, there's a need for it. Whether we think there is or not, if you want people to work, they need a place for their children if they have them.
Okay.
So anyway, we did have some pipes burst at Maple Corner. Air was shooting down in the basement right on that. We did since fix that. Once the water got turned back on, there's a valve in the kitchen that was cracked and fixed that. I had Rick come out and stuff some insulation in the exhaust. There's about 6 of them, full air just coming down. Really wanting to get moving, with this project as soon as possible, but it takes time to KJG. And like I said, Andrew has made revisions on the plans and have him email it to all of them.
Okay, yeah, we can look at it and its cost. And then we're gonna use our.
We gotta get the request for proposals first and then get all that in one. So we'll be working with the auditor on advertising.
Okay. Any questions, Brenda? Carol?
How about more policies out there then? Is that gonna be taken care of? Is it gonna end up like the jail?
Mold, we already got that taken care of a long time ago. There was in the wine cellar.
From this, water.
Actually, the drains were ideal down there. So when we went down there on that Tuesday, there wasn't a lot of standing water. I mean, yes, you could tell where the water was and everything, but no, I mean, they had a design rather nice stairs, and even in the kitchen area, the drains when it burst. It wasn't all over, well, you could tell where the water was. Probably know they're working, and that's what I was doing, yes. But I mean, the pipe was like this, and then water spewing out of it. Well, it froze on, what, that Friday, we had that freezing weather, Thursday night, Friday. So we were in there Tuesday morning, and the city was out there, order the valve is for shutting off the water into the building, and also you couldn't see it for where it was. And we did get a lot more things removed from the basement that was down there.
So
That
this
fire.
plan that's gonna be sent out to us, is that for the 911 center also?
It's all of them.
Okay, so the guy, because that's a separate company that was designing that, right? That was the guy.
No, they
from the
designed
state.
the whole thing. It was the same company that designed everything.
So did they consult with the gentleman from the state?
Yes.
Okay,
Barry Ritter has been heavily involved in that.
so he's okay with this
Yes.
design, okay.
We're going with his health department. They reviewed theirs. They've made their input. Coroner has made his input. IT has made the input as far as where they want things and everything. So
Okay,
anyway.
I think that's, okay. Any other questions? Anybody else have any comments?
Good day,
Okay.
Brenda.
Thanks, Brenda. Okay, so I don't know if all of you received from DLGF the breakdown of the assessed value tax rates for all the townships, all the cities, all the towns, all the school districts, libraries. So that if you didn't, I printed it out, so there's a copy for everyone here. Gives you, I think, our
Probably this is what I called you last week. You know. Nice, but anyway, appreciate it.
Okay, then I also have here, I represent the county on Valley Oaks Health Board. And they have to provide an annual report every year, so. The facility in Attica serves both Fountain and Warren County, so this is for, actually, it'll be for both counties because since it's only, Warren County does not have their own building. Most of the 9 counties have one that we share, and so and she's got payroll for Fountain County staff of 1.4 million, but that would be employees from Warren County also, and I believe the director there is from Benton County, I'm not sure.
Valley knows that's a house. Yeah.
Well, that's where the main headquarters are, but they have, a facility in Attica. And they are in, I know they're in Attica School, but I don't know if they're in Fountain Central Schools, but it's the Cody. Okay, yep. So they provide staff. So, we have a CEO. Just started in September, the previous CEO. The board decided not to renew his contract because they were losing about $1 million a year or more, and so we replaced him. We have a new CEO, Dan Abrams. He ran a mental health facility in Hamilton County and was kind of profitable, so, we're waiting to see, where we stand with them. As you know, why each county gets a representative, because the state requires us to pay so much of our tax dollars into the Valley Oak. I mean, there's, I think, 10 mental health districts in the state, and they're divided up, and each county is required, that's actually, what is it, for this year, 128,000. We have to pay into them, and
Started out to be about 85 and 90.
yeah, keeps going up, but anyway. There's an annual report. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. Budgets, well, all of you have the budget for this year, so I had Colleen print you out a copy of each department's budget for the year, so you can look at that. Come in handy when you go to transfers.
All of them, it's 124,000.
Okay. 124,584. Sheriff still here?
No.
Okay. Used to be, the mental health could not make a profit, and that was why the state required the counties to put into the. Then they changed the law a few years ago, and now they can make a profit. And actually Valley Oaks is sitting on $64 million. And so I've always complained, why do they keep raising our rates from the state? But the legislature sets that, and they just keep.
They keep building.
They keep asking the legislature for more money, and but I believe Valley Oaks is probably the most profitable of all the mental health in the state. I don't think any of them have the kind of money that.
It's too bad there's not a threshold that you get to that you can stop.
Yes.
Cap it, and then once it falls below a certain level, then you start paying back in.
And I've heard that the County Commissioners Association was going to work on the legislature to change that, but I don't know. And that or not. Okay, last thing I have for you is it's a 2-page letter here from Matt Fettingham.
We got one. How many more?
Keep going. Okay, this is from the Warren County Council. They've sent us a letter. They're concerned about the 911. They do not want to see it resolved. They believe it's going to cost each county about $3 million if we resolve it. And but I did have a conversation with one of the Warren County Commissioners Thursday night, and he told me that they are in negotiations with Benton County right now because they're afraid we're gonna drop them and they're gonna have to do something, so they are negotiating. Warren County Council would like us to meet at some point, if we would, with them and try to get a joint resolution to make commissioners not resolve it and leave it the way it is. Okay, can I do that?
Who is pursuing to resolve it? Is that?
There is a letter, I believe, that Fountain County Commissioners have sent to the Warren County Commissioners if they want to dissolve it.
Our say.
Right, but we fund it, and if we tell them we're not gonna fund it, if they dissolve it, then that it would be better if we got a negotiated.
Is that over a director appointment?
It's over the director. Fountain County wants to appoint the director instead of having it as a board that it is right now with the 2 sheriffs. And there's I believe a deputy from each county on that, and they appoint the director. Josh, you might know a little bit more about how that.
Is Bart still here?
It could be.
basically 51% of it is law enforcement and then, commissioners appoint representative represent each county, and then there's a 9 board member. Basically, we interview those, and then there's a commissioner from each group, each county there during the process, and we interview the individual for the job, and then we make our recommendation. And then it, goes to the 2 commissioners, and then
The 6 commissioners decide on the director then?
I believe that's what we did.
That's what it does.
But if there was a concerns, then that concern come up within that.
Is there a state statute who is going to be on that board?
That's what it is. 51% is law enforcement, and then it's set according, you have your sheriff from each county, and then there's city, both city with police are on it. Then there's representative that Fountain County appoints, which is me. Warren County appoints one, and then I think there's another. Remember, Andrew's on it also too. I think he appointed also.
Kathleen.
Yeah, which is a 9 member. Yeah. So, right, the board appoints the director.
I think we should have said that. What's why? Why? I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking.
I can't answer that. I mean, we need to know why. There was a joint meeting with the 2 commissioners, Kelly and I attended, and Jim Hirschberger was there and a couple of.
Want to dissolve the.
Those commissioners.
But it was, right, but yes, and that's what was the main discussion at the joint meeting was Fountain County Commissioners said they are in favor of agreement between the 2 counties, but they were adamant that Fountain County Commissioners should appoint the director. And Warren County's not for that. They want the board to be left the way it is. And so the 2 counties were meeting. I'm told there was a letter drawn up that Fountain County Commissioners told Warren County Commissioners they had a letter drawn up to dissolve it, but it has not been sent.
So it will cost us more money not to partner with them.
Absolutely. I mean,
That's not common sense.
no, it isn't. It's not worth, in my opinion, $3 million to be able to appoint a director.
And they're wanting us to vote yes for all that solar to capture the money we're gonna get from it, and then they're doing it.
Yeah, I know. And the gentleman at that joint meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, I believe he told us each county it would cost $3 million just for the equipment to set up. And then each county is gonna have to have the same amount of employees that we have now. Yes, because you can't cut.
She had a hard enough time now trying.
Right.
Find or keep.
So, and I don't know if a solution is if the council passes a resolution like Warren County did, that we want the system left the same way it is. But that's why I passed that along, look that over. We can discuss it more next month's meeting, but I just don't fiscally, I don't think it's a good idea at all to dissolve.
The only thing, I'm gonna be just a devil's advocate for just a little bit. The only thing I can think of that they might be thinking, and I can't say this for sure because I have no idea. But when we put the new 911 system in at the annex, it's going to cost us money for all that new equipment. So I don't know if they're thinking, well, we're gonna spend that money anyway to put the new system in. The only added would be the employees.
Except that we put all that equipment in out in Maple Corner, Warren County pays 50% of.
Right, right.
Force them to do that.
They didn't want anything to do with the equipment, they just want to pay us.
Right, so,
Well, no, they'll pay half the equipment, but for the use of the building,
That's
they're
right,
gonna
they,
pay us a monthly fee. Besides that, they pay 1/3 of all the employees and any expenses that we have, Warren County pays us 1/3 of the expenses. Except for equipment, they pay 50%. And then, because we're remodeling the building, when we had a joint meeting with out at Maple Corner with Warren County, and they agreed to pay a monthly fee, whatever we wanna, they're agreeable to that, a renter's fee to help pay for our renovations that we're doing to the building itself.
so then what happens if this gets dissolved before our next meeting?
That's my worry.
Well, if they vote to dissolve, we're talking probably 2 years before anything can be done, because that's how long it's gonna take to get all the equipment. So hopefully we can change their mind if something's done. Warren County hasn't received the letter yet, so they haven't been notified, and the 2 attorneys have been trying to work out an agreement to leave it the way it is, but I just want to bring that to everybody's attention, because I just talked to both one of the commissioners and the council president on Thursday night. No, they do not, they want to leave it the way it is, they're happy with that, but the commissioner I talked to said, if we're gonna get this letter, we're gonna negotiate with another county, because we can't afford to do it on our own, and we gotta go with somebody, so they're just trying to get their ducks in a row if something happens.
Well, they're close to them, we're planning, right? We're planning, that's what we'd like to do, plans, we better
Yes.
plan down the road a little bit, we've always done that. We've always looked ahead and planned for ambulance and so on and so forth. But my point is that now we're in limbo. Because that meeting may happen. Sounds like to me they want to dissolve it.
We're still,
But we got a plan for that extra money.
but we're still in session, aren't we?
Yeah. We can always say, well, are we against it or not?
We can say it.
Yeah, we are for this or not,
So you saying you wanna do
I'm totally against.
okay,
Totally.
too, so. Are you making,
I'm just, yeah.
so are you making a motion that we urge the Fountain County Commissioners to keep the 911 system the way it is? Okay,
I would second that, if we know everything as to why they want to dissolve it. But right now, we've been this way forever. And so I would second that, right?
Force their hand to say, well,
Yeah,
right, then they'll have to come to us and say, this is why we want to dissolve it, and, okay, so we have a motion. Yeah, okay.
50/50 also instead of 1/3, 2/3.
I don't believe that was ever 50/50 on the equipment.
At one point, it was gonna be like a flat fee.
Yes, they had mentioned at one point of just charging Warren County a flat fee, and I just made a comment, you can't do that because we don't know insurance. We could have an employee that has high medical bills, and if we just give them a fee, then we're gonna be paying more than 2/3 of those medical costs. So. Okay,
so should we incorporate whether we want to keep the boards in this motion or not?
that's state.
That's statute.
Warren County wants the board, if there's no board in Warren
right, so the motion is,
Again, how can they do away with the board, but there's state statute?
Yeah, there's a state statute.
Easy.
saying it has to do with-
There's a state statute.
He said there's a state statute that the board has to be divided the way it is now, the way it.
And each, yeah, each.
Maybe
So-
the state statute doesn't say the board has to appoint
The
the
director. I don't know.
director and that's scheduled to be the board.
Right.
That's.
They're going to the board.
I think the state commissioners can put a board together, but this is how the board is made.
Okay.
State statute doesn't say the board has to appoint
Yeah,
the director,
director.
so the commissioners want that part changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
Right.
You're right, okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
You made a comment, what was that?
The board and state.
And
Because they feel like they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose. Play.
So each county is willing to make a $3 million decision. The reasons are just different. Bell County's reason for making a $3 million decision is that we want to make the final decision. And Warren County is saying no, and we're willing to make a $3 million decision for Warren County if we don't get it our way. I mean, so.
well, one
Right,
person
no,
from
one-
Benton County, so they're still not.
Yeah, because they don't want, they have no idea this, they were gonna be hit with this. And they do not want to split. And they've not said anything to me about they're willing to split if all they've told me is they are adamant they will not sign the agreement that Fountain County appoints the director. That's,
They want that 911, right?
yes, they want the 911 board, but they're not willing to split. It'll be Fountain County, which will force them out, is they are not going to split.
And they have a backup plan.
But yes, they have a backup plan because they're.
We don't.
But they really don't want to go with it. And John told me, we absolutely don't want to go with Benton County. We want to keep it the way it is. We're happy the way it is. It works for both counties. So, okay, so we have a motion to urge the commissioners to leave the 911 board the way it is currently. And we have a second. So any discussion about it?
Is it the board or is it the agreement? It's the 911 agreement between Fountain and Warren County.
All right,
That's what we're,
right, keep the agreement the way it is, yes. Okay, so all those in favor of that motion? Opposed?
I'm just saying I don't have enough information. I'm just hearing hearsay. I don't have facts in front of me in any way, shape, or form. So I can't. Good faith conscious vote on it.
Okay, 5 in favor, no opposed, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then, couple more things. We have money budgeted for an attorney. Today would have been a good day to have our own county attorney. If anyone here has got any ideas? An attorney that we could hire, be our council attorney to come to our meetings. It's the first time we've had money budgeted to that. Let me know.
I don't know.
Okay, you want to contact him?
I
See,
can.
you tell him what we got budgeted. We have.
What was the name? Kyle Mandeville.
See, he's in the attic area. Okay. See if he'd be, and he. I don't know if he has to come to all our meetings, but. We'd like to have,
Yeah,
so we've got a question, we've got an attorney we can ask.
or be, if we could just call them and let him know that we'd like to.
There's a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't hear the part on the budget.
Well, I don't know what, I'm 5,000, I budgeted 5,000. And then the last, we've always had our August budget hearings. And we don't get our figures anymore from the state till after our budget hearings. I'd like to move our full-day budget hearing in September, if that's okay with everybody. That way we have more idea, especially from what things I'm hearing is that money may be getting tighter, employment maybe some changes, so I'd like to know more on what money we're getting from the state before we have a full day budget hearing, so.
No,
I
that's a
think
good idea.
that's September, because we don't have to approve it till October, right?
Do we want to keep that all in one day? Because it seems like it makes it really hard for the departments to explain their needs and requests.
Let's look at that. I know some went over, but some only take 5 minutes. So I think maybe we need to look at the scheduling.
Right.
I'll get the calling and look at. the
Okay, just a
scheduling.
thought, just a
Yeah,
thought.
we used to have it 2 days. And then we ended up, it was only taking about an hour the second day, so we changed it back to 1 day.
Seems like we're having to really hash stuff out.
Well, and I think we used to go to the beef house for lunch and that took longer. and-
Well, we
and
might
now
just have to change it.
No, well, I mean, that took longer.
Oh,
because
yes,
they-
yes.
We go out here, we go
Right.
to town, we could probably cut down our time for that.
Sure.
Okay, I think I got everything I wanted to cover. Anything else?
Trouble is, with the change in September, is I have to meet, it's not in July. Okay.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Forward, you can turn stuff in, right?
Right, you can still turn it.
Right.
But we won't have our money figures from the state, so it's really, yeah, you can still have this stuff. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Hey, I've listened to a lot of people on this, one thing, and everything, and all I was trying to do is get the community to come in and explain why. That's, you see what I'm saying? I don't know that I want them to call, each individually, want them to call, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Okay, anything else? Next. Yeah. This is the longest meeting, this is the longest meeting we've ever had. Okay, okay, we have a motion adjourned, Dale second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We've heard a lot of stuff happening for your first day.